Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Iren. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the most important levels of support we actually need to hold here within this area to keep this uptrend alive, as well as that would provide a signal, if broken, that this structure is likely going to extend lower and most likely invalidate the larger pattern we are tracking here at the moment, where we would like to see a larger wave tree form within the idea of an impulse. And while this is not the only interpretation that is available for us on this chart, it is the most rewarding and it is the easiest interpretation that we can really track for this larger uptrend. And it's not only here within the idea of a 1-2 setup and then a third wave. There are other interpretations that could allow this structure to work out, but this is what we would have liked to be focusing on, at least momentarily. Now, as I was saying, there are other interpretations in this area, but right now we are tracking an initial wave 1 to the upside within a leading diagonal, where this would have been a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave within a truncation. And I know this has quite a lot of implications. It is not necessarily a very likely scenario, but it can still work out at the moment, and as long as we hold here, especially the areas of support that can allow us to track continuation here in a wave 3 in an impulse, I will continue to allow this scenario to exist. Of course, I could be tracking this as a 1-2 setup and then a larger ABC movement within the wave 3, and it would be no problem in the end, but we would still expect to form here a 5-wave move to the upside in the end. And of course, within the wave C, other interpretations could work out, and it would not need to be an impulse. It could be just a an ending diagonal, and that is a valid assumption. But as long as we hold here the area of support that could still allow us to track an impulse, we are going to continue once again to track this pattern. Now, internally in this wave 3, we are tracking here a double 1-2-1-2 setup, and then this would be a third wave to the upside. And we had available this area of support between the $51.7 all the way down to the $33.5 level ever since we actually formed here the top within the wave 3. And I want to note specifically how relevant this area of support has been so far to highlight the importance of the Elliott Wave theory practices in or on this chart, where already a couple of times we have found reactions, quite significant ones, here at the 38.2% retracement, and then while we didn't manage to hold that level of support after continuing in a downtrend, we have found an even more significant reaction to the upside exactly at the 50% retracement. And in the previous video we were actually looking still for further continuation lower. In fact, we were looking for continuation lower ever since we had here a potential initial 5-wave move to the downside, and yeah, we were looking here for a 3-wave correction to the upside into the area of resistance between the $51 level all the way up to the $66.8 level. And of course, we were looking still for another 5-wave move to the downside, and this has been a scenario that was possible in a couple of ways, where this could have been a wave B top, and we would have here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could have held here the area of support for such an interpretation, or I could have even considered here something like WXY internally here within the wave B, where a wave C could have unfolded to the downside from that point. Now, since we actually don't have a 5-wave move to the downside within this structure, I actually absolutely need to consider this to be the wave B top and be tracking here a larger wave C if this really is to be a larger A, B, C structure, because the wave C must always be a 5-wave move to the downside. And while we didn't have the absolute low and we actually continued in this downtrend since the previous video, we can now adjust the area of resistance and note that while we did get some swings above it, there has been nothing too significant that would actually allow me to invalidate the possibility of continuation here lower within a 5th wave. And yeah, if we want, we can even look here on the daily, but yeah, we can see there have been just a couple of weeks above the last level of resistance that we can track here for a wave 4, and nothing strong enough for an invalidation of this larger structure that we are tracking here within a wave 3, or sorry, within a wave C in the yellow interpretation. Now, with that said, if we actually follow through in this idea within the 5th wave to the downside, we would likely expect to break here the 50% retracement, and likely invalidate the large interpretation of the wave 4 in the white scenario. Now, if we get just a quick wick below the area of support and then we recover, it would be no problem. We can still track this interpretation, but a sustained break would be a signal that this larger structure has not managed to continue in its trend, and that it would need to be shifted to a different scenario, possibly an ending diagonal within a larger wave C in this area. And while this is not ideal, this has been a warning sign ever since we have failed to push higher within this wave B retracement. We only managed to get here to the first level of resistance before continuing in this downtrend, and we were expecting from that point, from when we had this wave B top, that there is a high risk that this wave C could extend below the area of support. And if we have a sustained break, yes, it is a very grave sign that this overall structure to the upside cannot really be tracked reliably, and that we need to be taking more of a sidelines position until we get more evidence on a smaller time frame that this structure can be tracked for continuation in a larger movement to the upside. And there will likely be opportunities afterwards, but again, if we don't manage to hold here the levels of support, we need to be prepared for a much larger correction before we see a more significant uptrend overall on this chart. Now, with all this said, it is not impossible actually for us to have already bottomed within this wave 4 in white. It is not absolutely needed that we actually form here a fifth wave to the downside. We already see some strength by pushing here above the last level of resistance on multiple occasions, and yeah, that is basically a signal that there is a significant fight going on in this area between the bulls and the bears. And what I can track here for a reliable structure to the upside that would allow me to look here for even a potential 1-2 setup is the idea where, yeah, we would be looking here at a potential 5-wave move to be formed, where this would be a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and then this would be a wave 3, a wave 4 that could have even bottomed at this point, and then we would need to form only a fifth wave to have a more reliable pattern to look forward to. Now, in this interpretation, we would need to hold here certain levels of support, and this is what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Yeah, the area of support for the wave 4 in this leading diagonal within a potential larger wave 1 is what we need to hold for this structure to not have a likely failure point. So if we break here below the 61.8% retracement, the $37 level, it would be an early signal that this structure is likely not going to manage to extend higher, and that we should be prepared for this yellow interpretation to take charge and push us lower in this fifth wave. And while there are other interpretations that could technically still allow us a wide variety of options, these are the most relevant areas of resistance and support to be looking for at the moment. And on a larger time frame, this is the area of support, the only area of support we can reliably track for continuation within this uptrend. Because if we don't manage to hold here the 50% retracement, there is no reason to believe that this could not be a larger ABC within a larger wave A, and that we could face a very severe reaction, a very severe correction within a wave B. That is why we are only focusing here on this area of support. A break below that would demolish the probabilities of a larger uptrend continuing in this area, and even though it is possible, we would not have necessarily an edge to be using in trading on this chart. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.